Hello, trumpet players. Today we have 3 steps to master shakes on the trumpet. So, we're in lockdown right now, and I know that people later will be watching this video and the lockdown thing won't apply to you, but there are other times during life when you have time to, between events, between commitments, when you have time to work on your skills, and that's what you should do in your downtime. Summer vacation, spring break, Christmas vacation, stuff like that. And I'm talking mostly to the kids in school. Adults sometimes have similar situations, but because adults are adults, they have less of it. Okay, so we're talking mainly to the school kids. All right, so when you have downtime, you want to spend that time working on skills. One of the things that holds us back when music comes out, one of the things that makes it take longer for us to learn that music is if we have to learn a new skill with that music. And I remember last year a lot of people struggled with the shakes in the Texas All-State jazz music. Part of that was my fault because when I wrote the one shake, I didn't consider how short it was. So, so you have that like really short note with a shake on it, and a lot of people did struggle with that. Anyway, but we want to master the shakes before the music comes out. Otherwise, you're bogged down. This is just as true for the other effects as well, doing doits, doing falls and stuff like that. But for some reason, the shakes seem to really hang some people up. Okay? So let's talk real quick. What is a shake? Because a shake is not a lip trill. The shake is not a lip slur. A shake is more stylistic than that. There's more of a earthiness to it. In the blog, I said there was a grittiness to it that's not acceptable when you're doing lip trills and when you're doing lip slurs. Okay? And that's what brings us to point number one, step number one, okay? The first thing you have to do, and a lot of you guys roll your eyeballs, I've seen it. Don't deny it, right? A lot of you guys roll your eyeballs when I say this. You need to do more listening, okay? And, you know, if you don't know what a shake sounds like, how are you going to do it? And where are you going to hear a shake? You're only going to hear that kind of a shake in big band music. So what does that mean? You need to be listening to big band music. And you need to be, if you want to be good playing in stage band or any other kind of jazz group that has section playing, you need to be listening to that. Basically, it comes down to this. Whatever you want to be good at, you need to be listening to it. You know, the thing, if I was out of music and I wanted to teach you something else, like how to write a novel, if you're writing novels but you've never read a novel, there's something wrong with that. If you want to write poetry but you don't like poetry and you don't want to listen to it or read it, right? That's actually kind of offensive, isn't it? I mean, if you think about it. So why would it be any different in music, right? If you want to learn, and the reason I'm saying that is when I say you need to do more listening, that's almost misplaced. The emphasis is almost misplaced because it makes it sound like The reason you need to do more listening is so that you can do the shakes. And while that's kind of what I'm saying here, I think if you only listen so you can do the shakes, there's something wrong with you. Right? I mean that jokingly. I'm not saying there's something wrong with, but it's just not right. You know? You you need to be part. You know, you hear me all the time on these videos saying that you can't separate the music from the people. And you can't, in this case, it's just as true, right? How are you going to do a shake if you don't, if it's not just that you haven't heard it before, but you're not even part of this community. You see what I'm saying? So, so yeah. Now, who would you listen to? There's a list of bands that I put together here for the blog. Duke Ellington Orchestra would be a good place to go. Count Basie, Buddy Rich, Woody Herman. Now there's a whole bunch more than what I'm listing here. Okay. Um, Jazz at Lincoln Center, though, that they put on some amazing concerts, right? And they're all video, so you can see what they're doing. That's wonderful, right? Gordon Goodwin's Big Fat Band. That's a more modern one. Uh, the University of North Texas, uh, 1 o'clock band. Or the 2 o'clock band. I don't know if the 2 o'clock puts out albums or not. Some people say the 2 o'clock is better than 1 o'clock. So that's what I've heard. I've never been there, so I don't know. And then the last one I have on my list is Rob McConnell. His band's name is the Boss Brass. That's a band out of Canada. And, you know, if you listen to this kind of music, oh, you know what? This isn't on the list. Maybe I'll go back and add this. How about the Louis Bellson Band? Right? I have I have a recording. It's just some amazing charts. The charts are well written and definitely well played. So let's put Louis Bellson on the list as well. Okay, so that brings us to step number 2. And step number 2 deals with what if you have physical limitations? You know, if you can't do a lip trill, you probably can't do a shake either, right? So I've been recommending to my students that we do Arbon's page 44. This is exercise number 22. I'll demonstrate it. I, as a general rule, don't like playing exercises in public. I don't think it's almost like in the old days they used to say hanging your underwear on the line or something like that, airing your underwear out or something like that, so everybody can see it. And exercises are not meant to be performed. And I don't think they're supposed to even sound good. I think you're supposed to strive to make them sound good. But I think one of the things that bothers me about playing exercises in public is that people will judge the quote-unquote performance of that exercise the same way they would judge music, and it just doesn't work like that. But I'm going to do it here so you can hear what the exercise... So I'm not performing this for you, I'm demonstrating, okay? There's a big difference, okay? And by the way, on this page, there are 2 exercises, exercise 22 and exercise 23. It's a logical progression. If you can do 23, then you don't need this exercise anymore, right? Once you get to where you can do the whole page, you don't need this anymore. Okay, here we go. So that's what that sounds like, okay? And this exercise sort of goes up in half steps, but it's not really. What it's going up in is fingerings, which ends up being half steps, but sometimes the notes repeat, okay? Um, Now, if you can do that, then you don't have physical limitations to prevent you from doing a shake. Now, when I say that, I don't mean on that note. I'm talking about the whole page, okay? If you can master that whole page, then the shakes will not be a problem. Physically speaking, the shakes won't be a problem. If you start off and you can't do this, let's say you start off and it's going, right? You get, once you get to the eighth notes, you're starting to fall apart. Then what I want you to do is push through, keep trying, push through, and go ahead and go up until it just doesn't work anymore. Okay, this is something we want you to do. Add it to your routine and push through this daily. If you're doing range limitations, then stop when you get to your range limitation. Those of you who know my system know what I mean by that. Those of you who don't and you want to know, ask below. Okay? So anyway, this is the exercise that we use to get those chops. Now remember, a lip trill or a lip slur is not the same thing as a shake. There's a stylistic difference there. But the skill that you need to do these lip slurs is the same skill you're going to need to do the shakes, okay, in terms of physical ability. Now, step number 3, you can use buzz aids to help you get a more liberal feel for what the shake should feel like. So once you've got the shakes in your ear, that's step 1. Once you have the chops that you can actually do it, it would really help. Now, I only use this in the context of literature, and I've said that before on different videos. When I use buzz aids, I don't use them in exercises. I use them, which means I use them rarely, right? Because I only use them when it's appropriate to use them. Okay? And if I had a shake like this that I wanted to work on, that I was having trouble with, this is what I would do, right? So let's say I have a shake on G. And I'm going to pretend that I can't play it, right? Right? That's me faking like I can't play it, okay? Then you switch to the buzz aid. See, when you put the mouthpiece side of the buzz aid, when you play on that, the restrictions of the overtones aren't in the way. So you can do that smooth. Right? Then go back to the horn, and this is what we want to do. We want to go back and forth, back and forth. And then back again. And back again. Okay? That's step number 3. And between these 3, so each one of these does a different thing. I keep looking over there because I don't want to lose. Sometimes that thing bugs out on me. Sorry about that. I notice when I'm editing the videos, right? I look over there and that's like what I'm looking at all the time instead of looking at you. I apologize for that. Anyway, so these 3 steps are in this order for a reason. The most important thing is the listening, because a lot of times these kind of problems can be solved just by listening. You know what we have sometimes? And I actually find this offensive. I said that earlier. I actually find this offensive. Sometimes we have high school students that are too hip to listen to that big band stuff, and they're just really combo players. And sometimes those players end up having difficulty with the shakes. Well, guess what? A lot of that has to do with because they're just not plugged into that. They've got the chops, right? They can do it, but they don't even know what that sounds like because they haven't invested the time that it takes to actually know what that music sounds like. You know, people who are into big band music are into big band, you know, it's sort of like, and we don't see as many of these because the ensembles are smaller. It's sort of like the DCI people. They go nuts over that stuff, right? Well, the same thing happens. There's trumpet players that's their life. They love that big band section stuff. And if that student is in high school and he's living that, and you're going to compete with him, you're probably not going to win, right? You see what I'm saying? Because you're not part of that. You're not. This goes back to that not separating it from the people. Now, you know, there are exceptions to what I'm saying, right? Sometimes the judges aren't big band people either. So then, you know, who knows what's going to happen. You know, I am kind of sort of one of those people, except that I do actually a lot more combo work than I do big band stuff. But I've done probably more than my share of big band stuff. And I've listened. You know what? I started listening to big band music when I was probably before I went to school. Probably before kindergarten, because that was the stuff my dad always listened to. So I grew up with that stuff. And we had albums and we watched stuff on TV, we went to concerts, and then it just never stopped for me. So if I sound like I'm not as interested in it as some other people are, it's because, you know, it's my whole life. It's like, it's about as interesting as my nose, right? So sometimes I think people misunderstand that. And I think that I have a bad attitude towards it. But I don't. It's you know, do you like big band music? It's sort of like, do you breathe? Right? It's so much a part of me. Even my classical writing. You know, I say that my classical writing has flavors of Latin music in it, and that's true. Probably more so than what I'm about to say. However, there's also a whole bunch of big band influence in my classical compositions. That's how much the big band stuff is in me. Now, I have done so much more combo. We say combo. I'm saying that because of, I know that you guys are students and we call it combo, right? I don't think in the real world we call it combo. I've never heard anyone say, hey man, I got a combo gig for you. Right? They just call it a jazz gig. But yes, I've listened to a whole bunch more of that now and classical stuff, but it's not like you can undo the listening you did for the big band. Anyway, so I'm just trying to emphasize just how important being part of that is. All of this anecdotal storytelling is so that you can see how important it is. The listening is ultimately important, and that's why it comes first. I know I'm jumping around here. This is a little less organized. Usually I do the blog first, right? And I did that, but I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. Anyway, so listening is most important because it's preliminary. We want it to be done first, and then the chops, and then the style that we're gonna get the style from this. Okay. All right. If you have any questions about this, oh, and I'm gonna start trying to remind everybody now, because I'm taking 2 of my types of videos off of the channel in terms of being listed. I'm setting them to unlisted. And one is the Q&As. The question answer sessions, once they've been a week old, I'm setting them to unlisted, and the only way you can get to them is from my blog. That's eltigredo.com, right? eltigredo.com. And you can find the old question and answers there. And the same thing with my Behind the Wheels. If you go to the blog, you can find, and I've got a notice in all of the descriptions now about how to find the Behind the Wheel. And so now, from now on, those will never publish on YouTube directly. You have to go to the blog to get them. All right, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Other than that, God bless you guys, and we'll see you next time.